On the 22nd of February 2018, Swedish minnows Östersund beat Arsenal 2-1 at the Emirates Stadium in the second leg of their Europa League last 16 tie. It wasn't enough to overturn their 3-0 loss in the first leg, but it did announce a rising star to the wider football world. Almost 4 years later, and Graham Potter is now an established Premier League manager, leading one of the division's most progressive sides in Brighton and Hove Albion, and gaining high praise from both Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola, who has described his side as a joy to watch and analyse. He's recently been linked with the Man United job and has also been tipped to succeed Gareth Southgate as England manager. But how did he become the most sought after English coach in the game? On today's FD Explained, we're going to find out. Having taken up his first managerial position in the professional game abroad before entering the English football pyramid, Graham Potter is an unusual case when it comes to English coaches. However, it isn't the only unusual aspect of his career. After turning out for the likes of Stoke, West Brom and Southampton, where he made 8 Premier League appearances, Potter retired at Macclesfield in League 2 when he was just 30. And unlike most aspiring managers, instead of completing his coaching badges with a view to taking over at a club in the lower leagues, Potter decided to expand his academic horizons, studying for a degree in social sciences through the Open University as his playing career wound down. He then bagged a job in football development at the University of Hull, later doing the same at Leeds Metropolitan, and also acted as technical director for the Ghana women's team at the 2007 World Cup in China. And while in Leeds, he completed a Masters in Leadership and Emotional Intelligence, an experience that has formed the backbone of his approach to coaching and management. The only student from a sporting background on the course, Potter studied alongside people from the military and medical professions, gaining access to the kind of knowledge that those going through more conventional routes into football management wouldn't have had. And one of the most valuable things he learned was how to deal with failure, a skill that would come in very handy when it came to his first job in club football. Potter was initially recommended to Östersund's chairman Daniel Kindberg by Graham Jones, a former teammate of Potter's at Boston United who had been brought in by Kindberg to coach the club's young players. After first passing up the opportunity to hire him, the chairman had a change of heart following their relegation to the Swedish 4th tier in 2010. It was a huge task. Potter was entering a small club that had seemingly hit rock bottom, in a city with a population of less than 50,000, over 500 kilometres north of Stockholm, where the temperature hits minus 25 degrees centigrade in the winter. And the fans had all but completely lost faith in the side. When he informed locals what he had moved there to do, they told him he was crazy, and crowds averaged out at just 500 during his first season. But believing he could achieve something special, Potter quickly proved his doubters wrong, guiding Östersund to successive promotions in his first 2 years, and eventually winning promotion to the Allsvenskan, the Swedish top flight, for the first time in the club's history in 2015. By 2017, they'd qualified for the Europa League, where they beat Galatasaray, Hertha Berlin and the aforementioned Arsenal. And he very much did it his way. Under Potter, the club became a haven for outsiders and rejects to transform their careers. Burawar Nori, a Kurdish refugee who had been kicked out of Swedish giants AIK at 22 and had struggled with drug addiction early in his career, was signed in 2014 and eventually became club captain. He later referred to his time at Östersund as being like a dream, describing Potter as one of the best men he'd ever met in his life. Another success story was English midfielder Curtis Edwards, who had been released by Middlesbrough and was working on building sites while playing in the 10th tier of English football by the time he was 20, having developed a taste for drinking and partying. But after trying his luck in the Swedish 5th tier, he was spotted by Potter and within a year was starring in the Europa League. And not only did Potter have a great eye for undervalued talent, but he was also superb at integrating players from a number of different backgrounds. During his time at Östersund, he attracted professionals from Ghana, Nigeria, South Korea and Spain to play for him in one of Europe's coldest cities. His formal education in leadership was crucial to this. As he told The Guardian in 2016, "It taught me a more holistic approach and prepared me for the experience of working abroad, where your cultural beliefs are challenged and sometimes turned on their head." As a result, he took an unorthodox approach to motivation and squad integration, getting his players to collaborate in a number of different ways away from the pitch. They wrote a book together, organised an art exhibition and even staged a version of the ballet Swan Lake. By getting his players out of their comfort zone and forcing them to think in new and creative ways, Potter was able to earn their trust and translate the squad unity he had generated into excellence on the field. But for these kind of methods to work, Potter also needed a clear tactical vision. As he later told The Times, Swedish football was 4-4-2, long balls, second balls, crosses and big physical players who could run a lot. And if we competed on those terms at Östersunds, then we would be up against it because we didn't have the resources, history or location. To counter this, he developed an attack-minded, possession-based philosophy at the club, and this would become central to the way players were scouted and recruited. Having been left frustrated by management in the English game during his playing days, feeling that his technical strengths hadn't been utilised effectively, Potter was determined to exploit maximum potential from his players. With his focus on technical ability over physical attributes, Östersunds were able to attract the kind of players their rivals weren't looking at, and attract more fans with their exciting brand of football. By Potter's final season in charge, their average attendance stood at over 6,000, 12 times what it had been when he took over. By this point, he'd also showcased his tactical know-how on the European stage, using a flexible 3-5-2 shape to overcome Galatasaray in the first qualifying round of the Europa, and utilising a number of different formations to navigate the groups. Against Athletic Club, he went for a 3-4-3, holding a side containing the likes of Iñaki Williams, Harit Sarudiz and Aymeric Laporte to a 2-2 draw. His two wide forwards that night, Ken Sema and Saman Ghoddos, now ply their trade in the Premier League with Watford and Brentford. These performances began to attract the attention of the media and clubs in the UK, and 4 months after Potter's famous win at the Emirates, he was hired by Swansea City, who themselves were in need of a shake-up, having been relegated from the Premier League after 7 seasons. He went about returning them to the possession-based attacking style that had made the club famous under Roberto Martinez and Brendan Rodgers, and did so pretty successfully. They may have only finished 10th in his one season, but he laid the foundation for progress in campaigns since. They ranked first in the league for pass accuracy, second behind Bielsa's Leeds for possession, and maintained the best disciplinary record in the division. Under his stewardship, the average age of the side also plummeted from 27, the 7th oldest in the Prem, to 24.8, the 2nd youngest in the Championship, as youngsters like Ollie McBurney, Daniel James and Joe Rodon became key players before earning big moves to the top flight. His 1 year in the Championship was deemed impressive enough for Brighton to hire him, bringing an end to Chris Hughton's 4.5-year stay on the south coast. Not long before, Dan Ashworth had left his post at the FA to become the Seagulls technical director, and the pair have enjoyed a good relationship. In their first year, they brought in Neil Mopai, Leandro Trossard and Tarek Lamptey, all players who fit the technical and physical requirements for Potter's style of play. Again, the team became younger, with their average age going from 27.2 to 25.8, while the football became faster and more entertaining. Crucially though, they have remained well drilled defensively. In 2020-21, only Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City conceded fewer shots than them in the Prem, while they ranked 3rd in the league for expected goals against. Not only is this down to Potter's tactics, but his approach to man management and squad unity, with Yves Bissouma and Shane Duffy recently praising him for the care he shows for his players in their personal lives. So it's perhaps no surprise that following a poor loan spell with Celtic, Duffy has regained confidence and been one of the side's very best players since returning, going some way to make up for the £50 million sale of Ben White, while the side has been able to adapt to playing in a number of different shapes. Last term, Potter used 11 different formations in the Premier League, while his decision to switch to a back four for the first time this season saw them hold Liverpool at Anfield, even edging Jurgen Klopp's side on expected goals. No doubt impressed by Potter's successful conversion of his former student Azam Lallana into a deep-lying playmaker, Klopp has since suggested that the English coach has everything needed to make it to the very top. An endorsement like that from one of the world's very best cannot be easily dismissed, and judging by his career so far, Potter is certainly on the right track. So that was our explainer on how Graham Potter became the most exciting English manager in the game. But which top club do you think would suit him best? Could you see him at Man United, or do you think he'd be better off elsewhere? Let us know in the comments below and we'll do our best to reply. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and why not check out our previous explained on how to buy a football club. Trust me, you won't regret it. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.